Hey guys, Rogues Guild here. Just coming at you with the Brunhild deck profile that we took to 4th place at Minnesota with. It was an awesome event. It was great to see you guys, and I can't wait to see more of you at Pennsylvania. I should be going there. I think we have a couple other guys going there as well, so hopefully we'll see you. But yeah, the deck. So first, why Brunhild? You've got Lucifer, you've got Gil, you've got better picks. Hanzo is a contested matchup for it, and then IU Spikes the event, which is easily one of the worst matchups for Brunhild. So why bring this deck? The idea, first off, is we're playing the Turbo variant. The Turbo variant, I think, changes a lot about the deck. Being able to flip runes aggressively and not reserving them for a 5-drop bomb that's going to come in the late game and generate a bunch of value, but put you in a losing board state leading all the way up to it. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather play aggressively. I'd rather play a 2-drop 9/9 drain, like such a phenomenal card that March Hare is. Rather do that and then be able to play runes that actually protect my board state instead of like, you know, like Dispel or something. Cool, gain 1,000 life, and then I'm just going to trigger my Missile Tines or whatever. No, we're going to focus on actually playing good runes. We're going to play Ring of Legend that protects something. We're going to play Sand Awakening, which allows for awesome trades that come out of nowhere while buffing your 6/6 flyer, your 2-drop 9/9 drain. You've got really good stuff in here. And then we're also playing for protection of the angels, to be able to protect our board. You know, that's what we really want to go for with this deck. And by being able to protect your board early on and play aggressively, you're able to really pressure decks like Gil. You're able to pressure decks like in the Brunhild Mirror or like Lucifer or stuff. Like you actually force them to make decisions that they didn't necessarily want to make, as opposed to just waiting till you get to the point that you can finally drop Missile Time. Because that's how decks like Tigris beat you. You give them time, cool, they get to set up for what they want. But when you play something like this, it becomes that much harder for a deck like Tigris to suddenly come in, or just anything really, to be able to come in and just beat you for it because you gave them time. But yeah, so that's the idea behind the deck. The other thing that we're doing, or that I'm doing with this, is that we're playing 4 Altar. Altar is huge in this deck. So originally your main draw source is just Messenger. You get Messenger, cool, you get insane value engine. You don't get Messenger, you lose. Really, you do. The deck does nothing without Messenger. However, by playing Altar in there, you wind up having 8 different cards that start this entire draw engine. And honestly, in a way, it's actually more effective than Messenger. If you think about it, what Altar allows you to do is you pay will to draw cards. Yeah, you know, Messenger allows you to draw cards and not pay will, but it's a 2/4 body that you've got to invest will into protecting, and it's a 2-drop. So you've got to pay will just to drop it. So you got to make an initial investment without actually drawing any cards off of it. Altar is 1, so it's 1 less. So the first draw is free immediately because that equates it to a Messenger. And then after that, like, you're having to spend will to keep your Messenger on board or to put more Messengers on board. Why not spend that will just to draw cards? And then when you flip, you get extra stones, and you get free removal. Soul Returning Altar is such a busted card. Being able to sack off Resonators to neg the opponent for 4/4, and if you have a Life-Stealing Altar on board as well, then you just draw cards off of that, and you just keep going. So the idea behind this deck was to play aggressively, pressure the opponent, keep your board state going, and to literally run everybody out of steam. The idea is to force them into top deck mode pretty early. That was kind of what we were going for against Gil. Yeah, sure, Gil is able to never run out of gas technically, but what winds up happening is he stacks a lot of elementals early on in his remove from play zone. When he stacks those, it allows it so that when he flips, he can search on his turn, search on your turn, and repeat the process. However, he gets to a point to where he's only removing 1 on his turn, removing 1 on your turn. So then, since he's only removing 2 every loop around, he gets to a point to where he can only search once between 1 loop around. So he starts searching at half the speed, and then of course he also eventually gets to top deck mode. What's the rest of the stuff in his deck? Like Leaf Assassin, Leaf Paladin. What does Leaf Paladin do? Lets you search more cards later on. I mean, cool, yeah, sure, you gain some life, you get a neg 2/2 and a deal 3 damage and return 1 drop to hand. Yeah, so you do actually still have some plays, but like compared to what you do early on, you actually run out of steam in Gil. You run out of steam in Lucifer, you run out of steam with other decks as well. So the idea was to run everybody out and to force that, like machines in game 1. You can see it on stream what happened in round 5 with me. That eventually, through 3 mystery boxes, this deck powered through and got to the point to where Machines is just top decking, and you're still developing board states and swinging with multiple bodies on board. But yeah, so that was the idea behind the deck, and it performed pretty well. The rounds, actually, we'll get into the rounds in a bit. We'll actually get into the deck itself first. So to start off with, you've got the 4 acolytes, the 4 gem mallets, and then the altars way at the bottom. What this allows you to do is it allows you to get ahead of the opponent by ramping yourself up with will. It allows you to leave will up on the opponent's turn to interact with them. You drop an acolyte, then from then on you constantly have will to be able to play your Ring of Legend, your Sand Awakening, your Flourishing Hopes, your Protections. Just always interacting with the opponent. The other thing is they're free cantrips. When you've got Altar on board, if these things die, they tap, they float a will, and they draw a card. So they're cantrips. They just replace themselves. You get to the point where when your Soul Returning Altar is flipped, you can play like drop Acolyte, Gem Mallet, pass to the opponent, tap all 3 of them, float 3 wills, sack them off, neg 4, neg 4, neg 4, and then draw 3 cards. They just replace themselves. It's awesome doing that in this deck. Then you've got the 4 Messengers, standard, and then we're playing the Turbo variant, so 4 Sorcerers, 4 March Hare, because that's what puts on the most pressure. And then we're playing 4 Air. This is a little different for our Turbo variant. I thought that we needed a lot more value in the deck, and I think Air gets there. I'm not willing to hold back on runes just to be able to play Mistletoe. I don't want to deal with that. So Air is a good enough amount of value. You can just play it. You can get March Hare back or something, which is really good too. March Hare is key to the deck. And then we played 2 1-ums. We played an Atom because that seemed really key in Brunhild Mirrors, being able to drop it and protect it, just constantly removing their stuff. The other card that we played as a 1-of is Orphica. Orphica is a very powerful card, and I know a lot of people think that more of it should be played in this list. However, it does nothing in the green matchups. If they can Lorite the re-enter. So let's say the Gil matchup, you play it, you're either flickering their Paladin or their Leaf Assassin, which is a plus for them, or you're flickering your own guy. If you wind up flickering like your Air or your Acolyte or something on the re-enter, they can just Lorite, and they've got a lot of Lorites in Gil. They just Lorite it, and then you lose your body. So it's actually a huge detriment in Gil matchups, and a pretty good detriment in Hanzo matchups. So it's just better to play the 1-of, so that you still have it for those others. It's just a free 4/4 body that keeps coming back and searches out your gem mallets. And then we play 3 Blade. We played 1 in the Rune deck. That's debatable whether you play 4 main or you play 3 and 1. You can go back and forth with that. I just did it for safety, just kind of like a little cushion so that I knew every game I had that spot removal off Blade, and I like that. So then 4 Spear. Got to play the 4 Spear. It's good. Most people are playing 4. And then you've got 4 Protection of the Angels. This card is absurd, guys. I don't think you have realized as a community just how busted this card is. Plus 8/8 barrier, can't be chased. Every time we have cards that can't be chased, there's issues with them. There's inherent issues with cards that can't be chased like this. And for 1 will, plus 8/8 and barrier, cool, my 2-drop 9/9 Drain is a 17/17 barrier Drain that can't be interacted with that you swung into. If I leave 1 will open, I can threaten that on any of my guys now. I mean, my Messenger is a 10/12. Just think about that for a second. The card is absurd. You gotta play 4 of this, guys. And then you've got 2 Flourishing in the Hope just for additional protection, give some more longevity to your board state. And then Burgeoning Despair does give you an out to larger board states, gives you an out to Barrier Resonators, so it's just something nice to have in the deck. Stone lineup. We are playing 12 stones. You get there. You actually get to 12 stones. I did it, I think, 20 to 25% of my games. You get there against machines, against Brunhild, against Lucifer, sometimes against Gil. So might as well play 12 stones. It's not really going to hurt you, guys. It's not going to hurt you having a somewhat less consistent check of being able to see your ores. Just play the 12 and be happy when you hit turn 11 and look at your opponent like, yeah, I've got an extra stone every turn or 2 extra stones every turn now. It's good. I like it. So, and then the Rune deck, we played 1 Blade, 1 Whisper of an Angel, pretty standard. Played 1 Summon, pretty standard. But then for the Turbo variant, we're playing Ring of Legend and Sand Awakening. The idea behind these is maintaining your board state, protect your guys. When they try to crash into your 6/6 with their 6/6, cool, gains Eternal, doesn't die, flips another rune. Other little tricks that you can actually do though, so you can be at 3 runes. and you can have your March Hare, and so your March Hare is just a 2-drop 6/6 with Drain. You can swing at the opponent and have one will up, and now they've got to constantly be thinking every one of your March Hares can suddenly bump up to a 9/9 Drain at any moment when you play these quick cast cards, and then if it's Sand Awakening, then it's going to be an 11/15 that it can just suddenly bump up to. Like, that's a problem. It goes from a 6/6 to an 11/15. Like, that's a pretty significant jump. So. But yeah, just runes that kind of protect the board state more. And then the sideboard. Played 3 more Orphagas because it is a great card in the Brunhild matchup, in the Lucifer matchup, in the Machine matchup, especially Machines. Wanted it there so that I can flicker their Jizos, I can flicker their Vivians, their Guinevere's, get those counters off, and then I also develop a Resonator that winds up actually being pretty valuable. 4 Aura of Hope and 2 Separation Fates. I refuse to lose to IU. Refused to lose to IU. So that was the idea behind it. A lot of people noticed on stream that the IU that I was playing against in top 8 had multiple opportunities to go for lethal. Game 1, I can assure you, I still would have won even if he did God Art for the Resuscitating Will. He'd have shot me down to 6 and he never would have been able to get past that. Game 2, the Aura of Hope was in my hand. Turn 3, turn 4, I drew a second Aura of Hope. By the time the game ended, I had drawn all 4 Aura of Hope. And people were kind of getting onto him in the Twitch feed stating that the IU player wasn't swinging. He saw my deck list. He knew that I had Aura of Hopes. He knew that he couldn't just one-shot me. So, I mean, the card does a lot of work. For those of you who don't know, Aura of Hope just lets you tap down AJ Resonator. So, cool. Enter combat step, we're going to tap down that IU. Maybe you burnt a soul as well to gain flying prior to the combat step. Cool, you wasted a soul. So... it literally counteracts Resuscitating Will, just completely prevents Brunhild from getting through. Then the 2 Separation, just because additional hate for IU, just in case maybe we get to the point to where we can actually kill IU and get rid of her Imperishable and Spear or something. I don't know. Just it helped. It also got rid of the Pierce. 2 Miscalc, just additional hate for Kirik. 1 extra Flourishing, it's a great card, loved it. Crippling Light was kind of if the Machine player actually managed to get ahead of you and you just needed to reset the board, say like, okay, cool, let's start over. That mystery box was too much. So Crippling Light just lets you do that in game 2 or 3. Country of the Sun Minerva. This card's going main board. Originally, I didn't think it was going to be that great. I thought it was going to be a simple thing where I would just be able to swing with March Hares, drain a little bit of life off of them, and they couldn't kill the March Hares because of the Eternal that Minerva provides, and then it would go to their turn and my life is higher, so they can swing into me, but it just nullifies what March Hare already did, or they can swing into the March Hare, and then I just protection and they lose. So that was the idea. I didn't realize that that was the only win con against Gil. In our testing, I didn't need it. But when I went to the event and played against Jean-Paul in top 4, it turned out that was the only thing keeping me going. I still don't know if it's just because of how well he played, how bad our testing was, if his list was different, if it was because of how he drew or how I drew. I don't know yet. I just know it was awesome playing against Jean-Paul. He did really well, and he was my only loss at the event. So, either way, this card's going main board. I learned from my mistakes, so I would definitely bump up the deck count. That's another thing. 43 deck count? Yes. You draw so many cards in this deck, you are totally fine with it. You have 8 cards that you need to see for consistency in order to actually draw into everything. You are totally fine going over 40 cards, and it's worth it. Because you run out of value. Literally, it just becomes a resource game at this point. You need enough cards to be able to get you through the late game. It's not a matter of seeing cards consistently anymore, it's having enough of them. And so I definitely would be willing to go to 44 cards and include the Country of the Sun Minerva in the main board as a one-of. Win game 1 because they don't main board Destruction in the Portal, then go to game 2, and cool, we don't finish in time because game 1 took 40 minutes. So, and then the last card was a Blessing in the Sun. It was a bad card, didn't work out. The idea was in the Brunhild Mirror that I could play it, draw a card off Messenger. Now my whole board is plus 2/2 over your board because we're playing the same cards, and my whole board can swing and then untap so that they can then block on your turn. So it was a cool idea. Didn't play a single Brunhild Mirror. If I did, I don't think I would have liked it anyway. But you know, it's there. So that's the deck. The matchups. Round 1 played against Scarlet, 2 of that. Round 2 played against a Kirik. I drew. That's what happens when you don't see any March Hares or any Spears in order to gain life. They just burn you to death. And yeah, that's what happened. I got burned to death in the late game. We go to game 2, saw my March Hares, won that pretty easily. Went to game 3, couldn't finish in time because Brunhild takes forever. So, Then round 3 was Hanzo, 2-0 that. It was Green Hanzo, by the way, not Hanzo Machines. 2-0 that. Went round 4, played against Steven Holsheiser on our team. He was playing Lucifer at the event. We both had an unpaid invite, so we played it out. I took game 1, landed an altar. Game 2, I slipped up, and for whatever reason, I forgot that I could judgment my J ruler. That, you know, Brunhild is a thing on her J ruler, so I didn't judgment her. And in the late game, he managed to burn me for the last remaining bit of life. He aggroed me pretty hard early on and got me low, and then he was just able to burn me for the rest of it with the stemma. But he needed to get one final swing in, and I needed to J-roll Brunhild in order to block it. Just didn't see it, so didn't see the play line. He got me, and that was a draw. Couldn't finish game 3 because game 2 happened in time. Then went to round 5, and it was Hanzo Machines. It was on stream for everyone to see. Game 1 finishes in time, final round of time. It's phenomenal. Go see it, please, on Jeremy's Ruler School stream. It's awesome. Go see it. But yeah, I managed to get it game 1 and won that round. Went to round 6 and 7, which were both Kyrix, 2-0'd the both of them. And then we go to top 8. Round 1, play against an IU, 2-0'd that. Resuscitating Will, or not Resuscitating Will, Aura of Hope does a lot of work in game 2. Then went to round 2 for day 2, which was Gil. Jean-Paul lost there. He got me game 1 after 40 minutes. And game 2 just couldn't finish it. Country of the Sun Minerva was putting in a lot of work. If we had another 10 minutes, maybe. I think I could have gotten another 10 minutes, but and then I had to play it out for 3rd and 4th place with another Kyrix, 2-0'd that Kyrix, and took 3rd. So overall, great deck. Loved it. A lot of fun. I probably won't be playing Brunhild again. I hate the fact that you have to win game 1 or you're probably just going to draw. It's really frustrating. I wish there was more time to be able to play longer games like that, but it just doesn't work. Still love the deck, though. I think it's a phenomenal deck. This is the way you play Brunhild. You don't play Pandas. You don't play Mistletoe. You play this. I promise you, it's so much more effective being able to pressure the opponent with a 2-drop 9/9 drain than it is to sit back and not play your runes and wait till you finally drop Mistletoe. Oh, wait, you had spot removal. Cool. Mistletoe didn't actually get to do a lot. So, yeah, it's much better to play this way, I promise. But either way, thanks, guys. I appreciate you coming and watching the video. I hope it was a little bit enlightening. The Freyla deck profile, that should be coming up pretty soon. I know a few were requesting that. So either way, thanks guys for watching. Hope to see you next time.